We all love those $3,000 EDC setups, but let's be honest, we can't all afford them. In this video, I will break down my budget-friendly EDC setup so you can stop wasting your money and find everyday carry items that are affordable. And this entire rig, the firearm, holster, optic, all of it is going to come in under $1,000. And yes, I bought every single piece myself, and none of this is sponsored. The Ruger RXM is going to be the cornerstone of my setup, which is just going to prove that you don't have to sacrifice reliability and durability while also being budget minded. I've put around 1,000 rounds into my RXM and I've not had a single malfunction, but we'll talk more about that a little bit later. So let's unpack it all and start by talking more about this belt. This is the Yoti tactical belt that I purchased off of Amazon for 15 bucks. I've used this belt for about a year and I'm actually genuinely surprised how well it is held up. I accidentally cut mine a little too short, which is a bit of a bummer, but I could always just buy another one. Again, it's only 15 bucks. Now this belt does have a ratchet system, so I can tighten it when I stand up, or I can loosen it when I sit down. And overall, it's a pretty comfortable belt. It's made of nylon, it's pretty rigid for what it is, and the holster clips for my firearm fit perfectly on this. And even as I inspect this a little bit more closely, there's some fraying, but really nothing that isn't to be expected, especially after everyday wear for an entire year. And my only few minor gripes with this belt, first would be this elastic loop that can easily come off and get lost, or this belt buckle tends to be just a little big, and I find that because I wear my belt closer towards the 11 o'clock position where the belt buckle will sit, sometimes it will dig into my hip and into my side. This will definitely be an area I want to upgrade in the future, but for 15 bucks, it is definitely enough to get you started. And since this video is not sponsored, if you'd like to support the channel, there are some links down below that are Amazon affiliate links that you can purchase any of these products that are mentioned. Now moving along to the holster, I purchased this off of Etsy for around $80, and it's by a company called Civilian Standards. I went with this option just purely because it was affordable and it fit my RXM with the Streamlight TLR7. I really like the fact that this setup has some bungee cable next to it, which makes it a lot more flexible. It also has multiple concealment claws, both on the mag side and on the gun side, that help push the butt of the gun and the magazine back into your side. I also like the ability to have a spare magazine on me, in this case giving me a total of 30 plus rounds. Now personally, I can't imagine a situation that I'm in where I need that many rounds. However, it is better to have and not need than need and not have. And I also find that it makes for good practice at the range as well. Prior to this, I had never owned a sidecar carry setup, and I wanted to ensure that I liked the way that it felt first before investing a ton of money into it. And after having the sidecar setup for about a year, I eventually upgraded to this holster from TXC Holsters. It's their covert holster, and it's hand over fist a better and more comfortable holster than the other. Now this holster is a bit more expensive, and it's not officially part of this build, but I did want to showcase it just because I'm genuinely excited about it. I'd never heard of TXC holsters before, and a friend of mine uses them. And in this case, I like that they have the built-in wedge. They have this nice index point right where your thumb goes to give you a confident grip on the firearm. And then this helix wedge prevents the need for a concealment claw. And I also picked up the additional mag carrier in case I want to run one with an extra mag in the future. Now I bring all that up just because I noticed Civilian Standards doesn't seem like they sell on Etsy anymore, or maybe their shop is just temporarily closed. However, I run the TXC holster around 95% of the time. Overall, I will say that having a good belt and holster combination definitely makes concealed carrying a lot more comfortable and doable over a longer period of time. Now moving along to the core system, the Ruger RXM is the cornerstone of my EDC setup. Now this firearm can be found for 400 bucks or cheaper, and it is a spectacular compact option. It's proven reliable for myself at around 1,000 rounds, and I've seen video of people putting 3,000 to 4,000 rounds through this firearm. Now I personally carry the RXM for a multitude of reasons, but it really boils down to the fact that it's incredibly comfortable to carry. It's that perfect hybrid of concealability and shootability, and in my opinion, Ruger and Magpul fixed all of the things that I just feel like Glock never actually improved on their Glock 19. The texture is aggressive, but it is not abrasive. It doesn't irritate my skin. Plus, I find that the mag wall actually really helps push my hands up into the trigger well to get a really strong and confident grip on this firearm. Now, the trigger on the RXM is also something that has weirdly grown on me. It's a typical Glock trigger, and it's certainly not the best on the market. In this case, it breaks around 5 pounds, and it's got a bit of a rolling break rather than a clean and crisp one. However, for whatever reason, I like it, especially for everyday carry. I find that I can shoot it well and accurately, especially with fast follow-up shots. Ruger also added suppressor height sights, which allow me to co-witness with my Holosun 407K, and due to the mounting system on the RXM, you don't need a plate to mount most optics. In this case, I can direct mount my Holosun 407K right to the slide. Now, I personally love the Holosun 407K as a red dot. As somebody that started using red dots for competition and shooting faster, it's now all that I use on all of my pistols. I also find that the 407K is a very budget-friendly option. You can typically find it for $150 to $200, and it's going to be incredibly reliable, durable. It's got an awesome battery life, and I actually prefer the 407K 6 MOA dot over the 507K and the 2 MOA dot. I also prefer to have a red dot on my firearm because I feel like it is personally safer for me. In this case, it allows me to have both eyes open rather than closing one eye and looking at the front sight. I also feel like this is more safe because the fourth rule of gun safety is to know what your target is and what is beyond it. In this case, having both eyes open, I feel like more adequately prepares me for that situation. Now, moving along to the Streamlight TLR7X, this is an awesome weapon-mounted light that is going to allow for 500 lumens of output that flush fits against the RXM. I also really enjoy that this has a rechargeable USB-C battery, and I personally opt for having a weapon-mounted light for home defense and concealed carry because I think it's paramount to have both hands on the firearm. Now, if you do want another option for a budget-friendly weapon-mounted light, this is the Olight Balder S. Comes in about $50 cheaper than the Streamlight TLR7X, and I will say, probably worth just spend the extra $50 and get the TLR7. In this case, Olight had some quality control issues when they were first released. This one I picked up, and for the most part, it's really good quality. I don't personally like having a laser on there, but I find that their mounting system works really well, and I've not had any issues with it. Now let's talk about some of the general utility items that I carry around with me and why I specifically carry these items every single day. And be sure, stick around to the end with the daily essentials. I know those are things you likely carry as well, but I feel like I've got a couple things that would be helpful for everybody, even you. Now, first and foremost, I carry the Civivi Praxis Mini, which is a spectacular budget-friendly knife. Now, I am not much of a knife snob personally. However, everything that I have seen online and of people that I personally know that use them rave about them and say they are spectacular for the price. In this case, I picked up the Civivi Praxis Mini for $30. And it stayed sharp for an entire year. It has been super durable. I've dropped this thing, and quite honestly, the only con is really just the initial clip that came with it. I broke 3 of them and then finally just upgraded and spent $10 and got this aluminum one that is much more sturdy and is less likely to get caught, especially because I wear it on the outside of my pant pocket. Now, I also carry a knife with me both for the redundancy in a self-defense situation, but also just because it's pretty common where I'm opening up a box or my son wants me to cut off the tag of a stuffed animal. Its application and utility ranges quite a bit in my daily life. Lastly, I carry the Nightcore MT1A Pro, which is an absolutely freaking amazing flashlight, especially for the 40-ish bucks that it costs. I've also owned this flashlight for about a year, and it's incredibly durable. I have dropped it a ton of times, and it's never given up on me. Now, my favorite things about this is it does feature a hard press to turn on the light, and then the stock setting is a 50 lumen output. Half press gives you 300, and another half press gives you 800 lumens output. Now, I personally hate the flashlight that is on my phone, and so this is why I personally carry a flashlight with me everywhere I go. I use the 50 lumen output for almost every day instances where I just need a flashlight. However, there are times when I find that I need something stronger than just 50 lumens. Sometimes when I've worked on my car or when I've gone camping, that's where I find the 300, 800 lumens are really helpful. Plus, in a self-defense situation, 800 lumens in the dark is enough to deter somebody long enough for you to get away or for them to run away. I also really like the edges around the button. In this case, I find that I don't accidentally turn it on because it is a hard click, and these edges also prevent my belt from turning it on. I've owned other flashlights where I do, and it gets really annoying when all of a sudden your pants pocket is hot. Another thing that I really enjoy with this is the clip to put it on the brim of my hat. In this case, I can be hands-free and have the flashlight mounted. Lastly, this can be charged via USB-C. It's got a little red light when it's charging, turns green when it is fully charged. And if you don't have this battery, you can put a normal AA battery in here and it will go up to 200 lumens of output. Now for the daily essentials, and before you click away, stick around. These items are essential and I think they're critical for you as well. Now, one of the most important things that I carry with me every single day is going to be an analog watch. I personally want to use my phone as little as possible. And in this case, I felt like when I had a smartwatch, I was always checking it for my notifications. Because of that, I purchased the Timex Expedition, which is a $40 watch, and it's pretty amazing. I have dropped this thing square on its face. Somehow it still looks pretty new and it's never cracked. I'll also argue that I don't think being glued to your phone is great for self-defense and awareness. If you think about it, if you're out in public and you look around at people around you, almost everybody is on their phones. And in this case, if there is an active shooter situation or if somebody is there intending to do harm, if you're looking at your phone, you're not going to be able to adequately protect yourself and those around you. I also like having a watch both because I just think it looks good, but also just because it's practical. It's got the time, it's got the date, and those are things that I don't always want to have to grab my phone to get out and see. Now, I will say one of the cons to the Timex Expedition is that the internal mechanisms for the hands are ridiculously loud. Like if you are alone with this watch in a dark room, you will hear the watch. Next up, I have my keys, which is pretty straightforward, but I got this key clip on there just so my keys don't get jangled up in my pocket. I also have this cool little pouch where I store guitar picks in case I ever want to play guitar or need a guitar pick. And lastly, I have my phone and my wallet. In this case, I use the Pixel 9, which I absolutely love, especially over my Apple iPhone. In this case, I feel like because it is an Android, I can customize my phone a lot more. And back to what I mentioned earlier, I've kind of set this up almost like a dumb phone. In this case, my home screen just has messages, Spotify, internet, and email. I don't have many apps on my phone except for YouTube, but I don't have social media because I find that if I make it harder for me to log in, I use it a heck of a lot less. So let me know, what are your thoughts on this budget EDC setup? Do you feel like there is anything that I am missing or that you would personally change? Let me know down in the comments. Please subscribe and then check out this video right here on a more in-depth review of the Ruger RXM. See you guys later.